Introduction: Behind the Badge, the hidden face of Danish law enforcement. For generations, Denmark has stood as a beacon of democratic governance, civil trust, and institutional transparency. Routinely ranked among the least corrupt nations in the world, its citizens have long held confidence in their legal systems, public services, and law enforcement agencies. The Danish police force, Politiet, is often viewed as an embodiment of this trust, a disciplined, professional, and reliable institution that serves the public with fairness and impartiality. It is a symbol of order in an orderly society. But behind this image, as pristine as the country's streets, lies a lesser-known truth, one far more troubling and complex. This exposé is not an attempt to generalize or undermine the good work of thousands of honest officers. Rather, it is a necessary exploration of cracks in the system, cracks that have allowed misconduct, corruption, and criminal collaboration to take root among those sworn to protect and serve. In recent years, Denmark has faced a series of alarming revelations involving law enforcement officials engaging in acts that directly oppose the values they are meant to uphold. These include bribery, misuse of public resources, theft, drug trafficking, and in certain cases, ties to organized crime groups operating beyond the country's borders. The damage caused by such misconduct goes beyond the criminal acts themselves. Each case erodes public trust, weakens democratic institutions, and casts long shadows over the reputations of innocent officers and departments. These are not minor administrative errors or lapses in judgment. These are serious violations of ethics and law, acts that mirror the very crimes the police are mandated to fight. They demand scrutiny, not secrecy. This introduction serves as a prelude to two specific cases that shook the Danish public and caught the attention of international observers. The first, a bribery scandal unearthed in 2015, involved members of the National Police accused of accepting illegal payments in return for awarding IT contracts. The very agency responsible for enforcing the law had, for a time, become complicit in circumventing it. The second case, from 2017, exposed a transnational cannabis smuggling operation in which 12 individuals were arrested following coordinated raids across Denmark and Spain. Among the suspects were individuals with access to sensitive information and law enforcement networks, raising questions about just how deep the connections ran. These cases, though not the majority, are far from anomalies. Rather, they are symptomatic of a deeper vulnerability that can exist in even the most admired institutions when proper oversight, transparency, and accountability are lacking. In Denmark's case, where public trust in institutions is exceptionally high, the potential for blind spots is even greater. Trust becomes a double-edged sword, essential for effective governance, yet dangerous when it blinds society to the need for rigorous internal scrutiny. Moreover, the international dimension of these crimes, particularly in the drug smuggling case, signals that no country, regardless of its global standing or internal stability, is immune to infiltration by organized crime. With borders more porous than ever and criminal enterprises operating across continents, the idea of law enforcement corruption is no longer a problem of less developed nations. It is a global concern, one that demands attention from citizens, journalists, and policymakers alike. In the chapters that follow, we will examine these two scandals in detail. Using verified journalism from the local Denmark, one of the leading English-language news platforms covering Danish affairs, we will trace the development of these investigations from their inception to public exposure. We will explore how each case unfolded, the individuals involved, the legal and social consequences, and most importantly, what they reveal about the structural and cultural issues within Danish law enforcement. Let this story be both a revelation and a warning. No institution, regardless of its reputation or the civility of the society it operates in, is above corruption. True strength lies not in claiming perfection but in confronting imperfections with honesty and resolve. Only through transparency, reform, and a collective demand for accountability can trust be rebuilt and sustained. Denmark remains one of the world's most law-abiding nations, but as these stories show, even it must remain vigilant against the hidden faces behind the badge. Chapter 1: The 2015 Bribery Scandal Involving the Danish National Police. In June 2015, Denmark, a country globally recognized for its exceptionally low levels of corruption and high institutional transparency, was shaken by a scandal that struck at the heart of its public sector integrity. 13 public employees, among them an official from the Danish National Police, Rigspolitiet, were arrested on grave allegations of bribery. This arrest was not just a routine case of malfeasance, it was a revealing expose of how trust placed in public officials could be exploited for private gain, even within institutions sworn to uphold the law. The core of the scandal centered around Region Zealand, Region Sjælland, one of Denmark's administrative regions, where an extensive investigation uncovered that officials had allegedly accepted bribes from private contractors in exchange for awarding lucrative IT contracts. These contracts involved critical IT services and infrastructure, essential for the region's public operations, including health services, administrative management, and communication systems. The background and context. Public procurement in Denmark is designed to be transparent and competitive, with strict regulations intended to prevent favoritism, corruption, and fraud. Denmark's public procurement laws require competitive tendering and emphasize accountability to safeguard taxpayers' money. Despite this, the scandal revealed a disturbing breach in these safeguards, highlighting vulnerabilities in the system that could be exploited by unscrupulous actors. The investigation, launched after a tip-off and months of covert surveillance, found evidence suggesting that certain officials had manipulated the bidding process. They allegedly provided confidential information to preferred contractors and ensured that contracts were awarded not based on merit or cost efficiency but on illicit agreements. In return, these officials were suspected of receiving money, gifts, or other benefits, classic bribery. The role of the Danish National Police official. One of the most sensational aspects of the case was the involvement of an employee from the Danish National Police, Rigspolitiet. While details about the individual's exact role were kept discreet for legal reasons, their involvement raised alarm bells across Denmark. The police are the nation's frontline defenders of law and order. Any hint of their complicity in corruption severely damages public confidence. The police official was alleged to have used their position and access to influence decisions related to the awarding of IT contracts, potentially helping certain contractors gain unfair advantage. This blurring of lines between law enforcement and illicit activity was a breach of public trust on multiple levels. The arrests and police operation. On the day of the arrests in June 2015, police and investigators launched coordinated raids across multiple locations, including 17 sites spanning government offices, police premises, and private companies associated with the investigation. These actions included searches, seizure of documents, emails, and crucial IT equipment such as computers and servers. The scale and coordination of the raids demonstrated the seriousness with which Danish authorities approached the investigation. The physical collection of evidence aimed to uncover communication trails, payment records, and any other incriminating data to build a solid case against the accused. Public and political reaction. News of the scandal quickly spread through Danish media, sparking widespread public concern and debate. Denmark's citizens, accustomed to a high degree of transparency and integrity from their officials, found the allegations troubling. How could corruption infiltrate an institution tasked with law enforcement and justice? The case became a litmus test of Denmark's commitment to rooting out corruption wherever it exists. Politicians and public officials expressed their condemnation of the acts, pledging full support to the investigative bodies and promising to strengthen internal controls and oversight mechanisms. The scandal underscored the need for continuous vigilance, particularly in public procurement, where large sums of public money are at stake. Implications for public procurement and institutional trust. The 2015 bribery case served as a wake-up call for Danish institutions. It exposed gaps in procurement practices and demonstrated how personal relationships and corrupt dealings could undermine otherwise robust systems. The case sparked calls for enhanced transparency, stronger whistleblower protections, and greater scrutiny over public contracts. Moreover, it highlighted the necessity of protecting law enforcement agencies from internal corruption. Because police officers hold unique power and access to sensitive information, their accountability mechanisms must be stringent and transparent. Legal proceedings and outcomes. Following the arrests, the case proceeded through the Danish legal system. Prosecutors compiled extensive evidence, including digital communications, financial records, and witness testimonies. The trial scrutinized the depth of the corruption, the roles played by each defendant, and the extent to which public contracts had been compromised. While full details of sentencing are often subject to privacy laws, several defendants received penalties ranging from fines to imprisonment, reinforcing Denmark's no-tolerance stance on corruption. The involvement of the police official added a particular dimension of gravity, prompting internal reviews within Rigspolitiet to ensure such breaches could be prevented in the future. Broader lessons. This case, though focused on a particular region and set of individuals, illustrates a universal lesson: corruption can arise anywhere, even within the most trusted institutions of a country known for integrity. It underscores the importance of constant oversight, transparency, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. For Denmark, the 2015 bribery scandal involving a national police employee was a stark reminder that no system is immune. It reinforced the idea that trust must be earned daily through accountability and that the fight against corruption requires vigilance not only from institutions but from citizens, the media, and civil society at large. Conclusion. The 2015 bribery scandal involving the Danish National Police was more than a story of individual wrongdoing. It was an institutional crisis that challenged Denmark's core values of transparency and lawfulness. While the country continues to enjoy a reputation as one of the cleanest governments in the world, this case exposed the cracks where corruption can fester. It remains a potent lesson for Denmark and other nations committed to upholding the rule of law. Vigilance, transparency, and accountability are not luxuries but necessities in preserving the public trust. Source: The local Denmark National Police employee arrested for bribery. Chapter 2: The 2017 Cannabis Smuggling Network. In October 2017, a major criminal investigation culminated in the arrest of 12 individuals linked to a sophisticated cannabis smuggling network operating between Denmark and Spain. This case, marked by its international scope and the sheer scale of illicit activity, exposed a deep-rooted problem in Denmark's battle against organized crime, a problem that touched even the fringes of law enforcement and public safety. The investigation and arrests. The operation was the result of months of meticulous police work involving coordinated efforts across different jurisdictions. Danish police, working in close collaboration with Spanish authorities, orchestrated simultaneous raids in multiple locations, including Zealand, Sjælland, the Jutland Peninsula, Jylland, and key cities in Spain, most notably in regions known for drug trafficking routes. The 12 arrested suspects were believed to be central figures in a network responsible for the large-scale smuggling and distribution of cannabis throughout Denmark and possibly other parts of Europe. These individuals operated through a complex web of intermediaries and fronts, enabling them to move vast quantities of drugs while evading law enforcement scrutiny for a considerable time. The magnitude of the seizure. The raids resulted in the seizure of approximately 1,100 kilograms of cannabis, a staggering amount with a street value estimated at around 55 million Danish kroner, approximately 7.4 million euros. Alongside the drugs, authorities confiscated a significant arsenal of weapons, firearms and other arms, indicating the network's preparedness to protect their operations through force if necessary. Large sums of cash were also uncovered, highlighting the lucrative nature of the business and the financial sophistication involved in laundering and handling the proceeds from illicit sales. This combination of drugs, weapons, and money underscored the network's organized and well-resourced status. The transnational network. One of the most striking revelations from the investigation was the clear evidence of an international criminal network. The smuggling route spanned from Spain, a known hub for cannabis cultivation and trafficking, to Denmark, where the demand for cannabis had been rising steadily over the years. Spanish regions involved are notorious for large-scale cultivation and export of cannabis, often managed by criminal syndicates that maintain ties with distributors across Europe. Danish authorities found that the suspects had established direct and indirect links with these syndicates, coordinating shipments and distribution logistics to ensure a steady supply chain. This international aspect highlighted how modern organized crime no longer respects borders, and how effective law enforcement requires cross-border cooperation and intelligence sharing. Implications for Danish law enforcement. While the police successfully dismantled a major segment of this cannabis trafficking operation, the investigation also raised uncomfortable questions about potential weaknesses within law enforcement. The case invited scrutiny about whether some officers or officials might have turned a blind eye or even cooperated with criminals, facilitating smuggling through lapses or corruption. Though no direct evidence of police complicity was officially confirmed in this particular case, the broader context of Danish law enforcement battling organized crime has been fraught with allegations and concerns about infiltration by criminal elements. This case fueled public discourse on the importance of internal controls and transparency within the police forces. Public reaction and media coverage. The news of the arrests and seizures generated significant media attention in Denmark and abroad. Danish newspapers such as Politiken and Berlingske reported extensively on the coordinated raids and the size of the haul, emphasizing the success of international collaboration. Public opinion was divided. Many praised the police for their diligence and the dismantling of a major criminal network, while others expressed concern about the persistent presence of drug trafficking and violence linked to organized crime. The broader context: cannabis in Denmark. The case also shone a spotlight on Denmark's ongoing struggles with cannabis. Despite strict laws, the country has seen increasing demand for cannabis, particularly among youth and urban populations. This demand has fueled illegal markets controlled by organized groups, often violent and heavily armed. At the same time, Denmark has engaged in debates about drug policy reform, including limited medical cannabis programs and discussions around possible decriminalization or regulation. The arrests underscored the complexities in balancing enforcement against illicit trade while considering policy evolution. Legal proceedings and sentencing. Following the arrests, Danish courts pursued prosecutions against the 12 individuals. Given the volume of evidence, including physical seizures, financial trails, intercepted communications, and witness testimonies, the trials were comprehensive and closely followed by the media. Sentences varied based on the degree of involvement, with several individuals receiving significant prison terms for drug trafficking, possession of illegal weapons, and money laundering. The conviction sent a clear message about the consequences of engaging in large-scale organized crime. Lessons learned and moving forward. The 2017 cannabis smuggling case underscored several vital lessons for Denmark. International cooperation, effective cross-border collaboration is indispensable in tackling transnational crime. Robust intelligence, continuous intelligence gathering and sharing are key to identifying and dismantling criminal networks. Internal police integrity, maintaining and strengthening oversight within police and law enforcement agencies is critical to prevent corruption or complicity. Policy complexity, addressing drug trafficking requires nuanced policies balancing enforcement with public health considerations. Conclusion. The 2017 cannabis smuggling network arrests marked a significant achievement for Danish law enforcement, disrupting a major criminal enterprise with far-reaching international links. However, the case also reflected the ongoing challenges Denmark faces in combating organized crime amid evolving drug markets and international criminal cooperation. As Denmark continues to grapple with these issues, the 2017 case stands as both a success story of coordinated justice and a reminder of the persistent threats lurking beneath the surface, threats that require vigilance, transparency, and commitment from both institutions and society. Sources: Politiken, Danish newspaper. Berlingske, Danish newspaper. Danish National Police public reports.